Hola, bom dia. Welcome to our video. Before I forget, I'd like to just ask you to hit the like and subscribe button. It would help us out a lot. This video was taken in the Azores in September of 2023 around the caldera Sete Cidades. The Azores are 9 islands located in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and the largest of which is Sao Miguel. Sete Cidades is located on Sao Miguel, and that is where we spent our entire vacation. We started this day out pretty lazily, took our time. We went up to the Sete Cidades area around noon, and we started hiking. We'd parked our car at one of the parking lots, and we were making our way around the caldera, and we didn't really have plans of hiking around the entire thing when we started out. But after we went for a ways and we hiked for a couple hours, we thought we were about a quarter of the way through, and thought, well, this isn't so bad. We can keep going. So that's what we did. In total, the hike took us a little over 6 hours to complete. Certainly, we stopped and took a lot of pictures and looked at the scenery, and so it could have been done a lot quicker. Also, we could have taken our time a little bit more as well. At the end of the 6 hours, we were pretty tired, pretty beat up, and so the next day after doing this large hike, we went to one of the hot springs and enjoyed the hot springs for the day there. Sete Cidades is really one of the more beautiful areas on Sao Miguel, so if you happen to be there on a layover, it's a very short drive from the airport. I would suggest, if you had just a layover, to drive up to Sete Cidades and drive through. If you'd like to know what it looks like, we did do a video showing part of the drive through Sete Cidades. Absolutely gorgeous, hydrangeas everywhere, lining the roads. It's a very beautiful sight to see. If you have a little bit longer to spend on the island, I definitely would suggest going around Sete Cidades. If hiking's not your thing, which I understand it's not everybody's thing, there are lots of parking lots that you can drive around to, get out of the car, and enjoy the scenery and the views. If hiking is your thing, I do suggest making this hike around Sete Cidades. It is definitely worth it. The way that we found the paths going all the way around was through an app that I had downloaded called All Trails. They do have a free version of the app, which is all I was using when looking at this. But they do show a lot of different trails. They show some trails that are even difficult to see once you're there and in person. But it's definitely a good app to have. It shows where you can go. It also gives you an idea of how far some of these hikes are. It also gives you a bunch more information, which if you're interested and you're into hiking, that's definitely an app that I would check out, because I used it quite a bit on these islands, and it's very useful. Aside from the ever-changing scenery as you do the hike around the caldera, there are other points of interest to take a look at. One of them is an abandoned hotel that has beautiful views. You'll see that in some of the pictures. This hotel was built in the late 80s. I believe it opened in 1989 and was only open for a very short time, something like a year and a half or 2 years. It was built as a 5-star luxury hotel, and evidently they just didn't have enough clients to stay open, and it closed shortly after opening. It's been abandoned ever since. That is one of the more touristy of the areas around the caldera, so this is where you're going to see the most people. But they do have food trucks and trucks with water, ice cream, things like that available, which is kind of nice, especially if you're hiking, you get thirsty. It's a great place to stop and get something to drink, or a bite to eat too. As far as the rest of the hike goes, we didn't see a whole lot of people other than for the spots that are near parking lots and the more touristy vistas and locations around. For the most part, most of the time we were by ourselves, and this was early September 2023, so a little bit out of the tourist season, which for the most part is July and August. So September 1st is just kind of getting out of that touristy time frame. Early September was a wonderful time to go see the Azores. The weather is still really nice, very, very summer-like. There were fewer people than there generally is in the summertime because it's the end of the tourist season itself, which also lends to some better prices too. You can generally find a little bit better prices on the flights after September 1st, and also the car rental. Car rentals are very expensive during July and August, and also can be extremely difficult to get. So if it's a trip that you're planning for, if you do go in the summertime, just be aware that you need to plan well in advance and make sure you get your car reservations well in advance too. On this first trip that we took to the Azores, I think we spent somewhere around 10 days, which was a good amount of time for a first trip. About halfway through, we decided that we really loved the island, we really loved the location, we definitely wanted to come back, and we even started looking at some real estate. We were warned, however, that there isn't a whole lot going on the islands, and some people that come to visit, they see that it's beautiful, they see the temperature is beautiful all year round, and they decide that this is the place for them. They buy a place, they move there, and within a few months, maybe the first year, they realize there's not a whole lot going on, and get a little bit of island fever going, and some people tend to move out shortly after moving there just because they're not really used to not a whole lot going on. Of the things there are to do on the island, hiking is one of them. If you take a look at an app like All Trails, you can see that the island is absolutely covered in hiking trails, and the scenery is just absolutely gorgeous everywhere. Pictures don't really do it justice. Being there in person is just breathtaking. One of the other things to do on the island is fishing. If you love fishing, you will definitely love this island. There's all kinds of fishing to be done. You can go out for pelagic fish like yellowfin tuna, mahi-mahi, wahoo, and you don't have to go very far off the island to do that. One of the other things you'll see on the island are hot springs. There's a number of locations for hot springs. In Furness, there's a few commercial places to go to. Terra Nostra is one of them that we've been to a couple of times now, and Terra Nostra is absolutely gorgeous. In fact, we went there after this hike around Sete Cidades. The hike was pretty grueling. After 6 hours of hiking, it gave us some pretty sore muscles, but we did spend the next day at Terra Nostra in the hot springs, and the hot springs was just the thing to relax those muscles and get those aches and pains out, and after that we felt great. There is a hot springs nearby Sete Cidades, not very far on the coast, and that one's actually free to go to, which is really nice. It's also connected to the ocean, so some ocean waves will come in. It's a little bit rougher than Terra Nostra with calm pools, but they do have ropes set up in the area so that you can hang on and hold on to the ropes. As beautiful as the islands are, they certainly don't have the amount of tourism that some other places around the world, and you might be wondering why you've never heard of them if you haven't, and why it hasn't been run over with tourism. I do have a couple of theories about why that might be. The first is that although the weather is beautiful, it is subtropical. It's not as warm as Hawaii is. In the summertime, the temperature generally ranges from 65 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit. In the wintertime, the lows to highs are from 55 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. Although this is beautiful weather, it's certainly not as warm as Hawaii, where you see 80 degrees in the wintertime and even higher temperatures in the summer. I think the other reason why you don't see a lot of tourism is because of the beaches on the island. There are a number of beaches, but the island certainly isn't covered in them. Beaches tend to be black sand and a little bit on the rough side, which actually works out really well if you're into surfing and other water sports like that. But for the most part, most of the island has rocky shores. So it's difficult to swim in those areas. You don't see a lot of swimming. So, as I was saying, I think that's another reason why you don't see Azores as a tourist destination, just because most people are looking for those white sandy beaches. Lastly, I think part of the reason that tourism isn't as big as it is because there isn't a whole lot of nightlife on the islands. There are places to go, and there are bars and places to go dancing and things like that. But for the most part, it's certainly not a big part of the culture on the island. This does tend to suit us just fine, though. We enjoy our trips there. We enjoy the quiet. We enjoy the scenery. We enjoy the hiking. We enjoy the fishing. We enjoy the fresh fish and the other food. And for us, it's a great place to visit. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the pictures and the videos. I hope you enjoyed hearing a little bit about the Azores and Sao Miguel. If you've made it this far, congratulations. Thank you very much for stopping by this channel and watching our video. Again, if you could, please hit the like and subscribe button. We would appreciate it very much. And I hope you enjoy the rest of your beautiful day.